There's a couple of stories that are fascinating to me, and in neither case do I think the person actually had done a, like an introspection, or maybe. But both of them are from history, so I probably can't talk to either of them. One was, a friend was talking to, or this may be in Simon's book. This one's from Simon's book. There was a man building, there were men building a cathedral wall, okay, out of block or brick or something, right? So they're building this wall. And so they go up and talk to these men. And one man said, oh yeah, this is hard work. I go home at the end of the day and I'm exhausted. And my arms hurt, these blocks are heavy, etc. And this is just really hard work. Yeah, so he goes on and he talks to another guy, and the other guy says, you know what? This is the joy of my life. I'm building a cathedral. And I don't know whether it's going to be done in my lifetime, but I am making a contribution to this cathedral that's going to serve people and serve God. Two men doing the same thing all day long, but one has a different, I call it a context for why they're doing it. They have a different why for their work. And the other one is a story that I heard years ago. But Dr. DeBakey was the first man who did heart transplants, and he was in Texas. And he always came into the hospital every day through a basement entrance, right? He parked his car and come through the basement. And there was this janitor that took care of that area of the hospital, and he would see him regularly. And DeBakey apparently was a very, very, cordial guy, and he'd always say to the janitor, how you doing? And the guy'd say, great, I'm just doing great. DeBakey say, oh good, you have a great day, you do a great job for us. Somebody interviewed this guy and they said, what do you do for your living? He says, me and Dr. DeBakey, we mend hearts. Mm-hmm. So the guy was a janitor, but he saw his fit in a much bigger picture of mending hearts, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the power of why. So often what you're already doing, and what the reason for the questions that I sent out was to have you begin to look and see for patterns. We're looking for patterns in your life that started probably when you were very young. What happens is the world comes in on us, and we get into the world of trying to be successful, of trying to please people, of pressure of advertising, which I have to tell you, advertisers know exactly about the limbic brain. They know exactly how to get us, because emotions drive action. You may think you make rational decisions, but guess what? It's been shown time and time again, decisions are made from our emotional state. And then we use our thinking part of our brain, where language lives, to justify our decisions that we made. And I think if you go back through your life, you can probably think of a number of times when you were headed in one direction and then something came along and you did something in a different direction. And you may have looked back and said, what caused that? And it's always from the emotional state.
Damn,
they've actually, huh?
Damn that limbic brain.
Yeah, I know. They've actually they did and don't ask me who or when, but they took, I think these were people who had head injuries, and the corpus callosum, which is what joins the right brain, the right side of your brain and the left side of your brain, it's a series of fibers, all right, and those had been damaged. And these people could give you all the rationale. They could tell you how they were feeling, but they could not be in action. And it's been repeated over and over and over again.
Because of that missing link.
Because there wasn't the communication between the emotional side and the rational side, okay?
It scares me to think of the emotional side leads anything.
It leads everything. It leads everything. And that's why for us to get in touch with that is, is that light bothering you? Oh, okay, I thought maybe, if this light is bothering anybody, let me know. I can tip the... So, why? One reason is because then we can really be more in alignment with what's going on for us emotionally. Because I love the 5 whys question, but from what I know, you can't really get to the why that we're talking about by asking why.
Because it's part of the logical.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I struggle with the word emotion. When you asked in your questions to think about what emotion that.
Yeah.
I told my friend Ann, I told you I talked to my friend yesterday about him because I knew she would understand me and around the question. I thought, I don't even really know how to do that. I don't even know how to ascertain what that means.
Exactly.
I don't have words to go with that because I work so logically, so methodically.
Exactly.
My 5 why example is a perfect example of why I don't get this very
Well, I think there's great value in the question of 5 whys. Don't get me wrong, but I think that the real seat of our why is going to come through asking these other questions and looking at and paying attention. And it's a reflective, introspective process. It isn't, The other thing is that it really, how many of you have ever felt like you compare yourself to other people and you always come up short? At least in some areas of your life.
much.
Yeah?
I've done that.
Guess what? When we are coming from our own deep why, we have a new place to stand for ourselves and to see that our unique place in this world. Because every one of us has unique gifts, and the world needs our gifts. And if there were ever a time in history when the world needed our gifts, it is now. Because, Margaret Mead said, the only thing that was going to, and I'm paraphrasing, the only thing that was going to change the world was a grassroots group of people coming together and being in action. If we're going to look to our government and our businesses to solve the problems, guess what? We're going to get more of the same of what we've got. So some of it is that we have this new place of confidence to stand and to really be able to offer our gifts and interact with people. And I'm assuming everybody else watched or at some point has seen the video, but there's time and time again when companies who really know their why are successful and other companies around them doing the same thing fail. And it's because one is expressing their why. And that the book Start With Why has some great, great examples, one of them being Southwest Airlines and some others.
What's it called? The what? The book you said?
Start With Why, Simon's book.
Oh, Simon.
He's done a great job of pulling together case studies so that you can really see how this plays out in action. But then I look at people who really are successful and you say, how can they be successful? Why does everybody flock to them? Well, guess what? When you're living from your why, people flock to you. Yes, you have to get out there. You got to let them know you're there. But again, what you believe resonates with what they believe, and that's why they come to you. Southwest Airlines was formed in the 70s when only 15% of the population was flying. 85% of the population didn't have access to it. It was expensive, it was elitist, etc. Right? They said, and there's a funny story as to how it came to be that I won't go into, but they said flying was for the common man, and it had to be cheap, fun, and easy. So they had 2 fare ranges, nights and weekends, daytime. They didn't have any first class, still don't, right? You still line up like a herd of cattle, right, to get on the plane. And have you ever seen an unhappy Southwest flight attendant?
No.
Never.
No.
They come up with the most creative ways to tell you to buckle your seatbelt, etc. One flight attendant on a flight to San Francisco for John and I had us howling every time she came on the mic. We were hysterical. And guess who we asked where to go for dinner in San Francisco?
Her.
You know, guess who we asked about the area? You know, because I mean, it was like, God, we're going for fun. This woman knows what fun is. You know, and Southwest is the most successful airline in history. And they are no longer the cheapest, but people still have a loyalty to Southwest.
Yeah, I'd like to fly them first, but they were $100 more this time, so.
They what?
They were $100 more, so okay, I gotta go American.
Well, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do make those decisions, but they don't charge for bags.
Yeah.
You know, so there's all kinds of ways that I'm drawn to Southwest, and I will rationalize using it whenever I can.
Me too.
Right?
I love 'em.
Okay, very good. So now we're going to get into you. Just wanted to give you a little background. So first thing I'd like to do is, who had some insights about them, just about any insights about themselves from the questions? What did you